Shep Smith took to the airwaves on Fox News, and despite the fact that around the clock on Fox News, generally you're just going to have fear-mongering and misinformation about Ebola, he took upon himself, as he often does, to tell the truth, to be honest to his audience about the actual risks of that disease. Here's a snippet of that.
For the next few minutes, I'm going to give you the facts on Ebola. It'll take just 3 minutes. But first, today, given what we know, you should have no concerns about Ebola at all. None, I promise. Unless a medical professional has contacted you personally and told you of some sort of possible exposure, fear not. Do not listen to the hysterical voices on the radio and the television or read the fear-provoking words online. The people who say and write hysterical things are being very irresponsible. You have to remember that in the middle of all of this, you have to remember that there is politics in the mix. With midterm elections coming, the party in charge needs to appear to be effectively leading. The party out of power needs to show that there is a lack of leadership. So the president has canceled a fundraising trip and is holding meetings, and his political opponents are accusing his administration of poor leadership. For the purpose of this fact dissemination exercise, those matters are immaterial. Again, these are the facts. We do not have an outbreak of Ebola in the United States, nowhere. We do have 2 healthcare workers who contracted the disease from a dying man. They are isolated. Suggestions have been made publicly that leaders and medical professionals may be lying to us. Those suggestions are completely without basis in fact. There is no evidence of any kind of which we at Fox News are aware that leaders have lied about anything regarding Ebola. I report to you with certainty this afternoon that being afraid at all is the wrong thing to do. Being petrified, and that's a quote, is ridiculous. We don't have an outbreak. We have 2 sick people from 1 dying man. And the rest of this should stop because it's not productive. And it's not worth ratings, and it's not worth politics, and we all need to stop it.
God damn, that is the best 2 minutes of Fox News in the last couple of years, at least.
In Fox News history. No, Shep Smith every once in a while will do a segment where he's throwing his colleagues under the bus.
Yeah.
And you get a peek into who he really is, right? Because I think that in reality, he's a pretty reasonable guy. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm sure he said a lot of crazy things in the past.
Yeah.
But I love the fact that he's addressing this, but at the same time, and of course it's because he can't, he doesn't address the fact that it's his very network that does the fear-mongering. So when he's used the word irresponsible there, I was like, damn, right? And his colleagues are like off to the side with like
watching.
Pitchforks. Yeah.
Their faces are smushed against the glass, you son of a bitch.
They're ready to get him.
Yeah, there's going to be some awkward hallway conversation as a result of that. Andre Tantaros getting in his face. But thank you, Shep Smith, for being willing to do that. There will be a cost to pay for Shep Smith. I don't know how ironclad his contract is, but he was throwing his colleagues under the bus for economic reasons for doing the fear-mongering that they're doing, but he also threw the Republican Party, the main correspondents and guests that they have constantly. Like, all around, he was willing to throw them under the bus. Now, to be fair, we do have to say that in terms of accurate medical information, CNN and MSNBC, for the most part in the past few weeks, have been a little better than Fox News. They're willing to bring on authors who've written entirely fictional works, non-doctors who've written entirely fictional works about Ebola, and pass them off as experts. They're willing to speculate dangerously about the likelihood that it'll become airborne when there's no current reason to believe that that's going to be the case. So they have been a little better, but I love that what Shep Smith said there. And like the whole sensationalizing of it, that's one thing, but that doesn't bother me as much as the political motivations for Republicans like Louis Gohmert and Ted Cruz being willing to attack the president for saying he's okay with Americans dying as a result of that. They're trying to win an election. We need to stop pretending that it's just fear about disease. Now, certainly conservatives are scared most of the time about most things, and so I have no doubt that they are actually fairly terrified about Ebola having an outbreak in America. But right now, I don't think they care at all about that, and their willingness to push for a travel ban when they know that it's counterproductive, that it might lead to more dead West Africans, more dead Europeans, more dead Americans, that they think that that's a small price to pay for Obama's approval rating going down a little bit, for raising the turnout rate for Republicans in the midterm elections. The fact that they're willing to do that shows that they're not just lacking in empathy and compassion. We've known that for a long time, but they are outright evil when it comes to trying to push for their party to win in this election. They're willing to let people suffer and die of Ebola if it means that they might have 1% higher chance of taking the Senate.
So obviously
in November.
that doesn't speak highly of the Republican Party, but I will also say that today as I was reading about this story, there were multiple sources that talked about what the Obama administration is planning to do in response to these demands to, basically institute a travel ban, right? And a spokesperson for the Obama administration said that that is not off the table, which worries me, right? Because on one side, you have the Republican Party using this for political gain, but is Obama, who in the past has done concession after concession, going to cave on this particular issue, knowing that it's going to be counterproductive? I don't know, and a huge part of me is really scared that he will cave because he has a very bad track record of doing so.
I think that if there's a bet to be had on whether or not Obama will cave, whether the Democrats will show weakness on something when they undoubtedly could win, I think you should take that bet.